I'd like to share some ideas and work that we've been doing for the last 5 years related to improving and meeting the grim challenges facing our cities today. I would like to try and convince you that exciting and emerging technologies in computer graphics and geometries and painfully teaching robots to do very, very basic things, and the immersive worlds of like video games all together could actually provide a solution to this. The built environment genuinely affects all of us deeply. But unfortunately, hardly any one of us has the agency to affect what is built, when it is built, how it is built, and so on. This often leads to buildings becoming unloved and demolished, causing more pollution already on top of like badly produced and polluting buildings. The 20th century ideals of buildings and cities as machines to live in ended up privileging automation and mass production. It promoted sprawl that is conducive to automation, the automobile, and mass production. Furthermore, it caused dense, human-scale, pedestrian-friendly, historic fabric to fall out of public favor. And reality, however, bears the opposite evidence. Atlanta here has 8 times the carbon footprint than Barcelona. Sprawl consumes more resources, more heating, more per capita infrastructure, more transport. Furthermore, it also causes social isolation and has detrimental effects on the well-being of the inhabitants of a city. So time perhaps to prioritize something other than automation and universality. Time perhaps to prioritize material and energy conservation and adaptability over those two 20th century ideals. This implies that we should change something, and primarily it means that we should change how we design and how we build. And this is where, like, I believe the work that we've been doing in trying to teach and inform modern methods of manufacture with some ancient wisdoms of construction. One of the particular ancient wisdom to save construction material and energy is to use curved shapes such as domes, arches, and vaults. Another particular wisdom relates to arranging material in specific geometric patterns, as can be seen in the layout of the bricks in these pictures. And modern day 3D printing technologies can actually benefit and is perfectly compatible with these ancient wisdoms. It can totally take advantage of these principles whilst also saving material and time and labor. When these principles are applied to repeatedly used building elements such as floor slabs, columns, etc., we can end up saving enormous amounts of material, energy, and time. To give you another example, aligning material in these kind of specific geometric patterns requires that each of these blocks, for example, need to be unique. And one of the ways to produce curved pieces that are unique with just straight lines has already been encoded for several centuries in the chapels and public buildings of Europe. And this ancient principle could easily be taught to, again, and adapted into modern day construction techniques, the so-called wire cutting technique, where you use a wire to cut through solid material, like a knife through butter, rather than chip away and chisel away at material. So together, this produces material-saving shapes, like arches and vaults, as we mentioned, including time-saving procedures, and we get customization for free. In other words, each one of these building elements can be customized for its particular use. The other major change that we should see is who decides. Who decides what gets built, when it gets built, and how it gets built. And we ought to allow users of the building to participate in this decision-making process. And this is where we believe like modern-day computer games and gaming technologies can really play a significant role. You would be surprised to know that the software used by architects and planners and others affecting the built environment does not represent users in any shape or form. Video games, on the other hand, are specifically built around users and user experiences and their choices. Games are designed for multiple possible futures. Users can choose. They have a choice of action from a palette of actions. This then means they can be used to generate and test repeatedly, literally thousands and thousands of options. So taken all together, material and energy conserving building parts produced robotically combined with end user participation means that one size need not fit all. And more importantly, buildings can be customized for their location, for the users that it will house, for their choices and the negotiations that they make between themselves, and so on. And this also means that if the users are different, they're from a different walk of life, a different economic background, a different budget, a different site, the systems can be adapted and changed rapidly to account for their relations, and then the resulting architecture and the resulting neighborhood could indeed be very different. So the same system can produce a variety of outcomes depending on the community that will live in it. So I hope that I've managed to share some of my enthusiasm and optimism for participatory forms of urban futures. A future where matter is organized in the service of the inhabitants of the city. A future that is both socially vibrant, but also physically sustainable. Thank you very much for your attention.